Welcome everyone to my channel. My name is Janet Bayramian and I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And today I'm going to talk about how to find a therapist that's right for you. I'm going to give you guys a few tips on what to think about, what to look out for when you are working on your therapist search. So first of all, before we get into it, I want to thank you all for being here. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And I'm also open to all of your requests on topics. So please comment below on a topic that maybe you would be interested in me providing. I'm so happy that you guys are here as well, because if you're watching this video, I imagine it means that if you're not already in therapy, you're thinking about starting therapy. And I just want to say kudos to taking that step. I know it takes courage to see somebody new and try something very different. So I just want to say definitely a great job in doing that. So first, I would say identify what you want to work on in therapy. And you may have several things that you want to work on. For example, if you wanted to work on recent depression, or if you wanted to work on anxiety, or maybe something even more specific like OCD, you'll want to first identify that and see, in terms of your research of potential therapists, if they have experience in that arena of work. For something very specific like OCD, you want to go someone who's experienced with working with that. Otherwise, you may feel like the therapy is kind of not really going anywhere, and you may feel like it's just not helpful in terms of the work that you're doing. So I would highly recommend that. And you can find that information typically on a therapist's website. They'll say what they have experience working with, as well as some of their specialties and certifications. So you can absolutely do that research on their website. Secondly, what I would also recommend is to consider factors such as gender of the therapist, age of the therapist, and also specific nuances such as if a therapist has a specific religious background or training in a specific religious background. So for example, you may just feel more comfortable seeing a female versus a male if you're working on, let's say, a trauma, right? Or you may find that you want to work with someone who's of similar age to you and feel like you guys are of similar life experiences. Or you may want to work with someone a little bit older who has perhaps more life experience than you have at your age. So those are absolutely factors to consider. Some of the other nuances to consider are religious and cultural background. I know for me personally, I'm of Armenian and Russian descent. And there was a period where I really wanted someone that I was working with to understand my culture. So I did seek out a therapist who is also of Armenian background, and it was incredibly helpful. You can also consider religion. Like, do you want somebody that is of Christian faith or Jewish faith, or at least has understanding of the different spiritual faiths, so that you feel like you don't always have to explain certain things in session? That is another aspect to consider. 3, I would say consider having a telephone consultation with a prospective therapist. And the reason why I say that is because you'll want to feel, of course, comfortable with who you're talking to, and you'll want to feel safe. Absolutely. And when I say safe, I don't mean necessarily like physically safe, but I mean emotionally safe. Can I open up to this person? Are they going to meet me in terms of my emotional needs? That's absolutely important. And one of the things that you can do to find that out even before scheduling an appointment is to do just a very brief 10-15 minute telephone consultation. A lot of therapists do offer that on their website, so you can inquire about that. And in a telephone consultation, that's helpful as well, because you can ask a lot of questions, get some of your questions answered. You can sort of identify and see how you feel on the phone with the therapist. Do you feel comfortable, or do you feel like it's not the right fit for you? You guys don't have that type of comfort or chemistry with each other. That's really helpful. So I do recommend doing a telephone consultation if that's something that is offered. The next one I would say that can be helpful in terms of trying to find a therapist is asking some of your trusted sources. So if you have a friend or family member that sees a therapist or knows of a great therapist, you can always ask them for their referrals and their recommendation. You can also ask your doctor. You know, doctors have therapists whom they collaborate with and also have a referral list for, so you can always ask your doctor as well. So that's just another option. You know, if there's somebody in your life who you feel like you can trust with that question, I would say go for it. The next one I would say, if you don't have a trusted source, so if you don't really have a friend that you're comfortable asking, or maybe you're not comfortable asking that question at this point, there are a lot of online directories that you can do in terms of searching for a therapist. So I will link that below in the description here. Of course, the biggest one that I can think of where a lot of therapists have a directory is psychologytoday.com. Very simple website. You can go to the website, search your zip code, search your state, and see the different therapists that come up. And from there, essentially, you can pick or reach out and schedule several telephone consultations as well. One of the important things I should also note too is that the therapist does have to be licensed in the state where you're located. So if you live in California, you have to find a licensed or a therapist that's being supervised by a licensed therapist in your state of California. Since a lot of us are doing telehealth right now, they don't even really need to be in the same city as you. So if you're in San Francisco and the therapist that you find online is living in LA or San Diego or something, that's okay, as long as they're able to offer you virtual therapy, and of course, as long as their licenses are active. So that's another important thing to consider as well. The next one, what I would say is consider your budget and consider whether you want to try to use your insurance mental health benefits or if it's something that you're willing to pay out of pocket. There are pros and cons to both. I can definitely bring you up to speed on some of the pros and cons of either using your insurance benefits or paying for it out of pocket. But first of all, you will want to look at your budget. Therapy is something that I consider to be an investment in yourself. I see it as an investment in myself. I still go to therapy. I have a great experience in exploring my life and trying to grow. So I really consider it that. So I don't know if it's necessarily something that you will do just for maybe 1 or 2 sessions, unless you're really looking for that super quick fix. That quick fix is not always possible. So you'll want to look at your budget, because if this is something a little bit longer term and you are going to be attending weekly or perhaps every other week, you'll want to see if it's something that you can afford every month and what that number looks like for you. What's also standard, and I know every state, every city is different depending on how urban or how rural the city is, the cost of therapy out of pocket varies. I know I'm from Los Angeles, so the cost of therapy out of pocket is anywhere between $175 to $275 per hour per session. And that can be expensive for a lot of people to pay for out of pocket. So you can either use your insurance or you can find therapists that offer a lower, what's called a sliding scale rate. Sliding scales are typically anywhere between $75 to $150, something like that per hour. I also currently live in a suburban area in Florida, and the fees for therapy are a little bit less. They're around $125 to $175 per hour. So it really does depend on your area. It can also depend on the different certifications that the therapist has. The more certifications, the more cost the therapy can be. It also can depend on their license. If you're working with an associate who's being licensed by a licensed therapist, the rate can be a little bit lower. If you're working with a licensed therapist versus a psychologist, the fee for the psychologist can be a little bit higher. So there are a lot of nuances with that. One of the benefits of using your insurance, however, is if it's somebody who is in network with your insurance, you'll have to pay your copay. And copays vary as well. They can be anywhere from $25 to $60 per session per copay. So that is significantly less than some of the rates I had talked about. that's one benefit of going through your insurance. Now, the challenge though with going through your insurance is in actually finding a therapist. Not every therapist opts in to be in network with an insurance. And that's for a variety of reasons. A lot of therapists that are on insurance panels who are in network, their schedules fill up very quickly. So even if you find somebody that is in network with your insurance, chances are their schedules are already pretty full, or maybe they have a wait list and you can't get in, until the next few months. So that's one of the downsides of trying to use your insurance is finding someone with availability and trying to find someone that's a good fit with your needs. Obviously, the pro with finding a therapist who you can pay for out of pocket is that they are a little bit more readily available, and a lot of the therapists are definitely very skilled clinicians. Again, the downside is if you don't have a lot of funds to pay for it out of pocket, it can be a little bit challenging there. What I will say about that though is that you can still empower yourself. If let's say you wanted to try the self-pay option, you can ask the therapist if they offer a sliding scale option. A lot of licensed therapists as well have associates that they supervise, and associates are therapists as well. They're just not yet at the licensure status. They're working towards their hours to become licensed. They supervise them. And the benefit of that is you can see an associate for a lower fee and still get really helpful therapy. They're just being supervised by someone who's licensed. So they, if they get stuck, for example, they'll have someone who they can consult with. So that's another possibility. There are also directories of clinicians that offer lower pay sliding scale fees. So another one that I can think of that I'll link is called Open Path Collective, and their rates also vary. It can be anywhere from $40 to maybe $80 an hour for a therapy session. Again, significantly less. So you can also look at that as well. So those are some of the things that I would recommend for you all to consider in terms of your search for a therapist. I'm a licensed therapist and I'm licensed in the states of California and Florida. So if you guys liked this video and you felt like you were able to connect to me, you guys can go to my website. I'm going to link it here. You can request to book a telephone consultation for a quick 10 to 15 minutes on the phone with me, or you can certainly send me an email and ask me some questions about therapy, and I'm happy to share some of my insights about that. So feel free to go to my website, which I'll link here. Again, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And please comment below what you guys want to see in future videos. Take care, guys.